Good day. My name is Dele Ayimibo, and you're welcome to another edition of Import Export Platform Facebook Live from 3 Team Pest Trade Academy. Continue from where we stopped in the morning. In the morning, we talked about the life cycle of letter of credit. Life cycle of letter of credit. The life cycle of letter of credit is in 7 stages. And understanding these 7 stages becomes extremely important for you to be able to ensure you completely and seriously mitigate the risk that you might be confronting when you are dealing with a letter of credit transaction. Unfortunately, many are not familiar with the stages involved, and that has been spelled doom for their transaction because at the end of the day, they are not able to mitigate the risk. Each of the stages have its peculiar challenges. And understanding each of those peculiar challenges become very important because it makes it a lot easier to mitigate the risk of those challenges. It starts from drafting to issuance to amendment to presentation to examination. Drafting, issuance, amendment, presentation, examination, payment, and termination. In the morning, I spoke about the drafting and issuance. This afternoon, I'm going to talk about amendment and presentation. I'm going to talk about amendment and presentation. Immediately after issuance of an LC, remember the basis for issuance. We talked about it in the morning, that an LC is issued when it leaves the issuer's control. When your bank, the bank of the importer, have issue the LC and the LC is delivered to you as an exporter and you have accepted, immediately delivered to you as an exporter, it cannot be recalled again. As long as the exporter can recall it, that LC, as long as the exporter can recall it, that LC is not yet issued. Evidence that the LC is issued is the fact that the exporter can no longer recall it. As long as the exporter is able to recall the letter of credit, the letter of credit is not yet issued. Issuance means the letter of credit can no longer be recalled. Immediately it is now issued, because of the changing circumstances and situations around the letter of credit, that inform the reason why there can be the need for amendment. Amendment means we are changing some terms on the LC. For example, the very common or most common amendment you see on the letter of credit in the world is the amendment of expiry date and latest date of presentation. Because sometimes the projections, the plan, and all that the exporter has put in place is not, the exporter is falling short of those plans. And in the bid to ensure the LC is still valid, he will request for an amendment of the LC, and in this amendment is extending the expiry date and latest date of presentation of the letter of credit. Extending the expiry date and letter of credit. So, for an exporter, these are very important and critical items. And this amendment will often happen, especially in Nigeria where you have a lot of logistic challenges and problems. The chance of having to do that amendment is very critical. In fact, before now, in the previous, before the port access road became okay, which happened just a few weeks ago, a lot of exporters in Nigeria, one of the major issues they have with their buyer is the fact that they have to constantly amend the letter of credit by extending the expiry date and extending the latest date of presentation. So for you as an exporter, the essence of this conversation we've been having on this platform daily, every morning 8 a.m. and in the evening 6 p.m. discuss letter of credit and trade in general. It's just to make the information readily available to you as many people that are interested in ensuring that they have a good understanding of trade transactions, especially on the import and export side, to be able to mitigate the issues and risks they face as they go about their businesses. And this is so important and very essential for you as a trade person, because a good understanding of trade transaction become extremely important and critical to your success as a business person doing export. Inability to also understand the trade transaction become a challenge for you. So it's very important you have a good understanding. You know what? One of the major challenges many people that have been doing this business have is that people just think they can do trade, international trade, the way they do a local business, forgetting that the terms keep changing. Sorry, the rule keep changing, and you need to struggle to keep up with it. And the fact that there are so many other issues around it also that having a good understanding of makes it easier for you to be able to survive. It's a very profitable business, no doubt about it. It's an interesting business, no doubt about it, but it comes with its own attendant challenges. But the beauty is that these challenges are not unsurmountable. Only that if there is a darkness on your side regarding this challenge, what you need to do is to get a light by getting the knowledge. By getting the knowledge. By getting the knowledge. And that's what we're discussing today about starting and managing export business. And we're discussing the letter of credit cycle which has started this morning. So what we'll be discussing now is the amendment. Like I said, amendment will happen. Why will amendment happen? Amendment will happen as long as the circumstances surrounding the transaction is changing. Amendment will happen as long as the circumstances surrounding the transaction is changing. What is making circumstances to change? The business reality. What is making circumstances to change? The business reality. The business reality is what is making circumstances to change. By business reality, I basically mean that in the course of this transaction, you will realize that some things you projected are not working. And I just gave an example now of Nigeria, in which the port access road became a major problem for many months, actually for more than a year. If you find yourself in that situation, there is no way you won't have to request for amendment. So amendment of a letter of credit is a normal request. It's a normal thing. Amendment of a letter of credit is a normal request, is a normal thing. So don't be surprised that a buyer is requesting an exporter is requesting you to amend the LC for him to be able to meet up. Like I said, most common amendments in a letter of credit are, number one, the latest shipment date and the expiry date. When the latest shipment date is amended, automatically the expiry date will be amended. It doesn't commonly happen that the goods are changed. Not very common also that the amount is changing. Amount also can change, but not as common as those dates. Now, for you as an exporter, let me talk to the importer first. An importer cannot give a timeline within which an exporter must accept an amendment. If you issue an amendment to an exporter, you cannot give a timeline. You cannot say that an exporter must accept the amendment within a certain period. If you do that, you are not going to, it's not going to sail through. It's not going to sail through because doing that is like saying this person must accept this amendment, and if he doesn't accept it, the amendment is enforced. So hear me now. Let's say you are importing from China. The office of your exporter is in Shanghai. Let me use Nigeria. The office of the exporter is in Lagos. But the exporter is sourcing for the product in Kano. The exporter traveled to Kano to source for the product. That was the reason why he's not been in the office for the last 1 month. 2 weeks after you issue the LC, you send an amendment to the letter of credit. Whatever amendment it is. The bank will advise that amendment and write this exporter and drop it in his office because it's not around. You are now saying that this exporter must accept it and if it doesn't accept this time period, that amendment holds water. The exporter, maybe you wanted him to send you ginger of 8%, 10% moisture. But you now realize that will not be too good for your factory. You want to change it to 8% moisture. He has gone to the field to source for your ginger at 10% moisture. You have sent an amendment to him in the office to change it to 8% moisture. By the time he got back to Lagos and saw your amendment, he found out that the moisture content had been reduced to 8, but he now had in his hand goods of 10% moisture based on your initial request. What do you want me to do with the goods? No, what will he do with the goods? He has incurred cost, he has gone to produce, he has gone to procure, he has manufactured based on your request, and he had to travel. Your amendment is good for you, but if you made that mistake initially, the exporter is not going to bear the brunt. If you have made that mistake initially, the exporter is not going to bear the brunt. You have just stated that exporter should do XYZ. Exporter has done XYZ. You are changing it to ABC. You are not going to be able to compel the exporter to agree. As a matter of fact, the exporter has the right not to even respond to your message until when he's ready to ship. When he is shipping, if he ship moisture content 10%, he has rejected your amendment. If he ship moisture content 8%, he has accepted your amendment. As of that time, your amendment is accepted or rejected. As of that time, your amendment is accepted or rejected. As of that time, your amendment is accepted or rejected. What am I trying to say basically? I'm basically trying to say that you cannot force down the throat of an exporter an amendment that you orchestrated, which was as a result of the mistake you made by requesting for a 10% moisture initially and changing it to an 8% moisture. And he has gone ahead to source for your 9% moisture. He will not be held responsible for your negligence, for your error as an importer. So an importer cannot insist that an exporter must accept or reject within a particular period. That is unacceptable in a letter of credit transaction. That is unacceptable in a letter of credit transaction. Now, let me talk to the importer, the exporter. The exporter cannot also accept partially or reject partially. You either accept wholly or reject wholly. You cannot partially accept, you cannot partially reject. If you partially accept or partially reject, it is not acceptable. If you partially accept or partially reject, it's not acceptable. Why? Because as far as letter of credit is concerned, you should wholly accept or wholly reject. As far as letter of credit is concerned, you should wholly accept or wholly reject. When a letter of credit is amended, it becomes irrevocable as of the time it was amended. When a letter of credit is amended, it becomes irrevocable as of the time it was amended. When a letter of credit is amended, it becomes irrevocable as of the time it was amended. What does that mean? That basically means that as of the time it was amended, it is irrevocable. As of the time it was amended, it is irrevocable. If you remember when we're talking about the types of letter of credit, we talk about revocable and irrevocable. Irrevocable means that buyer the issuing bank, confirming bank, and the exporter, who are the obligating parties, cannot pull out unless or amend unless there is a consensus among the parties involved. So when letter of credit is issued or the amendment is issued, it is irrevocable, but the issuing bank becomes only obligated to act in line with that amendment when the other party have accepted it. Like I said, partial acceptance is not allowed. Partial rejection is not allowed. When the amendment is issued, it binds the issuer as of that time. As of that time. An exporter can either accept through a written letter or accept through a presented document. An exporter can either reject through a written letter or accept or reject through a presented document. So acceptance or rejection of an amendment can be written, can be through presentation. It can be expressly communicated through writing. It can be communicated through action, or actively communicated through document presentation. Through document presentation. So as if you're an importer, please bear this in mind. The fact that if an exporter has started producing for you, you can't come back in the middle of the road and change the time. It will not be acceptable. Let me come to presentation of document. Presentation is defined as delivery of document to the bank or nominated bank or the document so delivered. Presentation is described as the delivery of document or the document so delivered. So when you say presentation has happened in a letter of credit transaction, that means there is a delivery of document. Delivery of document means presentation. Delivery of document means presentation. Now, the rule is that you must present a document obtained on a letter of credit transaction within you must present the document within 21 calendar days. Document must be presented within 21 calendar days. Shipping documents must be presented within 21 calendar days after shipment. The rule is that you must, as an exporter, now this is very critical for you as an exporter. Remember, the importer is going to clear the goods. You know, some countries is even so short. For example, some part of Europe to Africa is less than 3 weeks. Not talk of West Africa itself. What that basically says is that you can then not hold the document perpetually. After all, you exported because you are expecting payment. Is that not the reason why you exported? You exported because you are expecting payment. Because you exported because you are expecting payment, we also expect that you should present document on time. You should present document on time. Why? It's good you present document on time because that makes it easier for you to also get payment on time. But more importantly is that even if you choose not to get your payment on time, you can say, okay, I don't mind. My payment can come in afterwards. Maybe you don't even mind a month. After all, you can give supplier credit. But please note, the buyer cannot wait. The reason why the buyer might not be able to wait is that the buyer actually will be incurring additional cost or charge if there is a delay in him getting document. For example, good arrive within 3 weeks after shipment. You are sending document out after a month after shipment, and the guy is getting it maybe by the 6th week, he has just a week free period for him to, after the shipment, after the good arrive, he has just a week free. That is the demurrage free period. After that 1 week free, you know what happened? This guy begin to incur demurrage. By the way, what is demurrage? Demurrage is the fee paid for the usage of container beyond the free period while the container is in the custody of the exporter and importer. Demurrage is the fee paid for the usage of container beyond the free period while the container is in the custody of the importer and exporter. Demurrage is the fee paid for the usage of container beyond the free period while the container is in the custody of the importer and the exporter. Do you know what that means? The 2 weeks extra of the container staying at the location of the shipping line, he will pay extra fee. Demurrage is the fee paid for the usage of container beyond the free period while the container is in the custody of the shipping line or the terminal. Detention is the fee paid for the usage of container beyond the free period while the container is in the custody of the importer and exporter. If the container is now staying extra days in the custody of the shipping line, the importer will be paying extra. That's why the rule mandated that document presentation must be done within 21 calendar days after shipment. Document presentation must be done within 21 calendar days after shipment. In any case, it must be done before expiry. The whole essence of putting an expiry date on a letter of credit is actually because of expiry date. The whole essence of putting expiry on a letter of credit is because of the presentation of document. The whole essence of when an LC have an expiry date, the expiry date is with respect to presentation of document. The expiry date have nothing to do with document examination. The expiry date have nothing to do with payment. The expiry date has everything to do with presentation of document. So as an exporter, immediately you ship your goods, you must send document to the nominated bank. That is the bank in your country nominated to collect document, or to the issuing bank, as the case may be. But ensure that the document reach the parties expected. Ensure that the document reach the party expected before the expiry. Either the nominated bank in your country, the confirming bank in another country or in your country, or the issuing bank in the importer's country. If you do not do that, you might find it difficult for you to be able to get your payment. It will be stated that your document arrived after expiry. It is called late presentation. Late presentation is a discrepancy in letter of credit. Discrepancy is said to occur in letter of credit when document presented does not conform to the terms and conditions spelled out in the letter of credit. Discrepancy is said to occur in letter of credit transaction when the document presented is at variance. When document presented is at variance with the terms and conditions of the letter of credit or with the rule guide letter of credit transaction. Presentation is critical. Please, when you are presenting, also ensure that the reference number of letter of credit is stated. If you do not state the reference number of letter of credit on the documents, the bank will follow up on your bank or on you. The day the bank that receive your document gets to hear from you on the reference number to which the document you present relates to. That is the date they will deem to have received your document. And if that happened to be after the latest date of presentation, or that happened to be after expiry date, you are jeopardizing your payment already. So the reference number must be clearly stated. All right, thank you very much for listening to me again today. My name is Dele Ayimiba, and this Import-Export platform, Facebook Live from 3T Import Trade Academy. I will see you again in the morning tomorrow. Tomorrow in Nigeria is public holiday, so I'll be talking from the house. I'll be talking to you again, still talking on another 2 steps, 2 stages in letter of credit, maybe the last 3 stages. And that will be examination, payment, and termination. Examination, payment, and termination. Remember, this video go on our YouTube channel, 3T Impest TV. Search for 3T Impest on YouTube and you see our channel. As you visit the channel, 3 things we recommend you do for us. Number 1, subscribe to the channel. Number 2, click the notification bell. Number 3, like this video. Number 4, drop your comment. Number 5, share the video. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow and bye for now. Have a good evening.